Yay! All right, so let's get ready to rock and roll, you guys. I'm super excited for our special guest tonight. I met Jill at Winter Circle at the Pentecost Ranch, and so I am so pumped to have her here speaking words of wisdom to you guys. We're just going to kick things right off. Jill, if you would unmute yourself and tell everybody like who you are, why you're here, and what you're working towards, we would love to get to know you more.
Hello, you guys. Okay, so I can talk a lot, so cut me off if you have if you have any questions. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you kind of like a little short version of my story. So also I am one of those people that ask for you guys to interact in the chat. So I'm gonna ask you to put numbers more than likely just because that's who I am. So this is not my first time with It Works, and it's not my first time with a network marketing company. Can you guys put a one in the chat if you guys have ever been with another business before or It Works? I just am always curious because I've been with so many different companies. So I started It Works back like it was 6 years ago. It was right after I had my first kid. I was struggling, and that was the second business I've ever been with was It Works, and I failed miserably. So I quit. I quit, and I started another one, and I quit, and I started another business, and I quit. It was literally just like a spiral. It was one thing after the other after the other, and so my husband is an over the road truck driver. We were high school sweethearts. We got married really, really young, started our family really young, and we didn't realize how expensive kids are. So if you guys are a mom, raise your hand. Mom club. Kids are expensive. They're a lot of work. And it was hard. It was really hard for us. I was working a full-time job. He was barely ever home. So I knew as soon as I had my first kid that I wanted to be home. And that's why I started It Works the first time. Had no idea what I was doing. I had no guidance from my leader. So I gave up. So if that like tells you guys anything, you need to connect with your new people. So I did company after company after company, ended up getting pregnant again about 3 years later, and I had my daughter. So at this point, I was doing two companies, two companies at the same time, and working at a nursing home. And I kind of just put those companies on the back burner because I didn't really have time. Mom of two, my husband's on the road, and I went back to work 6 weeks after having a C-section on my feet all day, 10-hour days, and they promised me when I went back to work that it was going to be part-time, and it wasn't, and it killed me. Like I missed out on so much with my first kid. I didn't want to do the same thing with the other one. And so I talked with my husband, and I was like, I can't keep missing. Like I was miserable. I was broke and miserable, and I would rather be broken at home with my kids actually happy watching them grow up than working and being miserable, because I was literally just paying for daycare. And so I started doing daycare at home and broke still. And I was like, okay, whatever. This is just life. I came to like the conclusion that we were going to live paycheck to paycheck our whole entire life. And I stopped nursing my daughter about a year after that, and I gained a lot of weight. I saw somebody posting on Facebook about the skinny coffee. I've done the It Works products in the past. They helped me lose my baby weight after having my first kid. And so I reached out to her, and I was just like, hey, how much is it to start the business? You guys, that probably sounds like a dream. Somebody reaching out from a host post, like, hey, how much is it to start business? I'm one of those, like, I don't know. I just did it. And I was like, how much is it to start? Because I knew I didn't have the money for coffee. And it was a promo code. I started for $20. And I left her on red because I didn't want to be that girl on social media. I didn't want to fail again. I didn't want my friends to make fun of me. And so I didn't tell anybody. And I drank coffee and I started losing weight. I've lost 65 pounds using the products, and I feel better. Obviously, I love our products. You guys put a 2 in the chat if you've ever lost weight using our products. Hopefully every single one of you guys on here, if you're one of those skinny minis, good for you. But I started noticing results right away, and I had a few people asking me, and I ran out of coffee. I reached out to the girl who I signed under, which I left her on red. She sent me like 4 messages, and I didn't message her back because I didn't want to do the business. And I was like, hey, so I'm about out of coffee. We worked. We got the shopping spree in 4 days. We did it together, and I didn't stop. So I was like, I just had to like take a step back for a second and reflect. And I was like, okay, this girl is like wanting me to be successful. I never had that with any other company. I never really had like a friendship. I never really had any guidance. It was more like me just trying to figure it out on my own. Like I never had anything with somebody else. And she was like ready to work with me. So I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do it. And my husband wasn't supportive. My friends weren't supportive. I deleted every single one of my husband's friends off of Facebook because who needs them? I did not want them. And I told my husband, and he was like, okay, you're doing one of those again. I said, yes, I am. And I wanted to prove him wrong. So that like fueled my fire. I'm like, you know what? I can do this. And I promoted month after month after month, you guys. I ran with it because I was so tired of living the life that we had. Like we were always negative in the bank and always just pinching pennies. I would get paid from all the daycare parents. That money would go towards groceries, bills, and then we'd be negative again. Like that was literally, it was repetitive every single week. And I let it fuel my fire. So if you guys are like stuck right now and you're feeling like, I don't know, like maybe you just started in the business and you're like, I really need that extra money. Let that fuel your fire. Like those overdraw fees, whatever, let that push you to be successful in this business. That's what I did at first. So we promoted Ruby, Emerald, Diamond. We went to Diamond 5 months into the business, and this was on the old charts. If you guys have been in for a while, you know how there's a lot of distributors you needed when you had the old charts. And we hit Diamond. I got my first 4-figure paycheck, and my husband finally started believing in the business. And he became like really supportive, and I stopped doing in-home daycare because I was making I was making 2 times as much as I was with daycare. And so I didn't stop, and I was pushing for double the next month. Life happened. I didn't hit it, but the month after that we went double. And we actually in this process, we like took a second back, reevaluated everything, realized that we were able to afford a new house. Okay. And so we lived in the same house for 7 years since we've been married, and we put a down payment on the farm. The month we went double, you guys, was the month we were moving in the middle of all this madness. I went double Diamond. I had my first $4,000 paycheck. And I didn't realize that I was actually capable of doing something like that. So that's my little story. I've been in for 2.5 years. I've been doing this ever since, obviously on my own time, my own schedule. I love it. We're triple Diamond. We went triple last year, and we're actually pushing for presidential. We just started our 90-day push, so it's already madness, but I am here for it and I love it so much.
I love that. I feel okay. First and foremost, if you see us dropping zeros in the chat, that's like our hand clap. So don't feel like we're like dogging on you in any way, shape, or form. It's like we're like, yes, I relate or whatever. So just know that if you look at the chat. But I love that. I feel like so many of us can relate to trying something and failing, right? And then kind of attaching shame or guilt to that failure. But when you said like I was negative in my bank account and I was so sick of living paycheck to paycheck, and you utilized that as fuel for your fire, I was like, yes, because that's how I was. I was just so freaking sick of my circumstances. And that's what has propelled me to keep moving forward and be able to dream for my team. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love it. So moving on, obviously you've been in the business for 2.5 years. You've been through multiple push seasons. There have been times, I'm certain, where you have just been like, oh, I am like burned out. Like I'm so tired of the push. I'm so sick of having hype all the time. So my question to you is, how do you keep that hype up? Like, how do you keep your team hyped to continue to move forward and push for the next thing?
So one thing as a leader, I feel like once a new month starts, you need to reevaluate your chat. So I don't know if you guys really utilize chats or not, but I focus on the people who are ready to run in the business. So I will just ask people what their goals are. If you get me a chart by the first week of the month, it's go time. And I have everything like on my iPad. Like I literally have everybody's charts right here who has sent me a chart or who has told me that they're going for a promotion. But what like really fuels my fire and gets me hyped is the new people on your team. So if you guys are signing new people, or maybe you struggle to sign new people, or you get like one distributor a month, focus on that one person and really run with them. Because if I didn't have that guidance, I wouldn't be where I am in the business today, because that's what pushed me to continue and not give up on myself. So just really focusing on those things. And there are slow seasons and there are like fast push seasons. I feel like this year for me has just been a push since February of last year. Not gonna lie, last month I got tired. And so I like that question because I literally just went through this. It was like 2 weeks where I was like dead tired. God was like giving me signs everywhere. Like I had everything happen at once. And I was like, it's okay for me to just breathe for a second. Like it is okay for me to breathe, but also do my daily tasks. We all have like daily tasks that we want to go by, our KPI, whatever. Um, Mine is my host to post. So staying connected with the people on my team, but also knowing that it's okay not to go like 500 miles a minute. But just really focusing on those upcoming leaders. That's what's literally lit my fire is our team has had at least 3 promotions every single month. We had a diamond pop, a ruby, emerald. We've had so many different things happen this year. And that's what fuels my fire. And I feel like that's what happens with them too, because once they get to ruby, I mean, they get to focus on their downline and their promotion. So that's what keeps me pushing. And if I'm feeling like down, whatever, as a leader, I know that if I'm feeling that, my team more than likely is. So read a book, listen to a podcast. Ed Milet is my man. He is a handsome man. He is a good guy to talk to. Like I will listen to that, and that always fuels my fire. So I always have something to take away to my team.
No, that's so solid. And I don't know if you've ever done this with your team. I'm sure you have. But like knowing people's color personalities has really helped me help them when they're in a slump. So for example, like I have a person with a primarily blue personality, and she was like all up in her feelings. And I was telling her like, listen, you need to go out and you need to hype up your team. Like, I know you're in your feels right now, but you have to go out and you got to speak life into your team. And I was like, come back and tell me once you're done. And she's like, all right, I'll come and tell you. And she did. And I was like, well, how do you feel? And she was like, I feel so much better. And I was like, yes, like, recognizing that you're in a position where you are in a slump or you're not, you're not necessarily motivated, or you don't, you're just tired, like understanding what fuels that fire and utilizing it, like reading the book or the podcast. And my husband and my son are playing like hide and seek in like 5 feet away from me. So there's a lot of background noise. Sorry. But yeah, just utilizing, knowing your weaknesses, recognizing them and turning them into strengths, like that's phenomenal. So love it, love it, love it. So you talked a little bit about, keeping the hype alive by having your team focused on like individual goals and like little team goals. So talk to us a little bit about when you have a new prospect coming in or you're talking to potentials, like how do you explain the business to them? Like what does that look like when you're like, this is what we do and this is, that sort of thing? Like what's your pitch in a sense?
Okay, so when I'm talking to somebody about the business before they even sign, I will be upfront with them and just like tell them basically what I do. So I get most of my distributors from host to post. I don't know if you guys do. And it's not like me doing a distributor host to post, it's them posting for me. And then me saying, okay, so why are you not doing this? Because obviously they have a good network for it. They're willing to post. And I'm 100% honest. So I used to kind of sugarcoat it and just be like, oh, you're going to work from social media. And I'm like, well, if you have an extra hour or two a day, like we have systems where you can fit this into your daily schedule. But once they're like, actually, here, I'll give you guys a message that you guys can save. That's just something kind of explaining the business. You want to put it in your own words because it kind of just talks about like with me. That's what I don't really send that as much anymore. So I like to voice message. So I will tell my story. So you guys know how I just like kind of told you my story. That was a long version. You guys, I had my team practice this. We actually did a distributor training boot camp a few months ago. It was when I was at Winter Circle. And I feel like it really helped them get out of their comfort zone. So one thing I want you guys to take away from this Zoom is figure out your 60-second story. I had them do a 60-second story, and I think we did a 30-second story. So mine would be, I talk really fast so I can get a lot in really fast, but it would just be talking about like where you were before the business, why you decided to join. But one thing is talking about those fears, because people aren't going to relate with those successes. I could name off every single thing that I've got because of this business, but nobody's going to relate with that. People are they're going to listen to you being negative in the bank account, being depressed, being overweight. That's what people can relate with. So when I tell somebody my 60-second story, I'm always like, okay, so just hear me out for a second. I joined this business 2.5 years ago when I was broke. Like I was broke. I was depressed. I was very overweight, and I was working in-home daycare. I'm just gonna tell you guys, so just listen. I'm just going into it. So I was doing in-home daycare, and I knew I needed something, but I didn't think this was it because I've done this before. See how I added that I've done this before? So if they say I did it, okay, me too, but I'm successful this time around. And then I talk about like how I didn't have a support system, but when I started, I had somebody like who did not give up on me, so I decided to go and I ran our bank accounts that kept going like positive. We weren't negative all the time. And then long story short, I promoted month after month. 5 months in, I earned a 4-figure paycheck. 2 months later, we earned over $4,000. And last year we earned over $10,000. Like I just go over those small, like those big wins. I don't really put a lot into that because they're not going to relate with that. But I always ask a question at the end. This is like key, asking, is that something that you could do? Or are you interested in doing something like this? Or have you ever done network marketing before? I feel like that's key when you're having the conversation with distributors. But once they're in the system, we actually have, we call it a 5 to Thrive. So it's 5 steps. Once you get in, number one is they get in the team page, they watch like a little video, just kind of introducing them to the business. 2 is a startup post. 3 is learning about host to post. Wait, 3 is learning about host to post. 4 is doing the buy-in. So we have them do the $10 buy-in. We do that for our giveaway. If they don't have it, I'll help them sell samples. Sometimes if I can tell that I don't know if I should like preach this, but I do it because I want people to be successful. And I know people are broke right now. I will pay the $10 sometimes. Like if I've had a conversation with them before and I genuinely think they're going to do good in the business, I'll pay the $10 buy-in once. It's once a month. So they'll do it the next month. But then after that, we go all into host to post, and that's how they're going to learn how to mass enroll. I had a girl who joined the business, you guys, and she signed 10 customers her first 24 hours. I don't think she's on here. But we're going to Colorado this weekend, you guys, and she's going with us. She's been in for like a year and a half, 2 years, but she's amazing. She's signed 10 customers in her first 24 hours. Of course, she got that shopping spree and she's running for Emerald. Like, don't count yourself out and don't think that your new distributors are not going to understand it, because if you go into it not confident, then they're going to probably ask you lots and lots of questions, because you have to be confident in what you have your guys' hands on.
That's so awesome. I'm like, dream recruit right there, 10 people in 24 hours. Like, dang, that's so awesome. So I'm assuming you guys utilize boards and then like one-on-one conversations and that sort of thing. Yeah. Awesome. I think that's so great. And you did talk a little bit about like what it looks like after you've launched, or like after you've signed them up and getting them launched. So I appreciate you touching on that as well. So you mentioned that you were in like a 90-day push to Prez right now. And so I would love for you to kind of talk about like what does getting loud about that promotion look like for you personally, but then also casting that vision for your team for them to show up in the roles that are necessary for Prez, because Prez is a big one. You got a lot of people on your team, and you got a lot of, other really successful positions in there. Like when you think about Diamond, it's like you have a couple people getting some $500 paychecks, and you know what I mean? And it's a phenomenal promotion, but Prez is like multiple people are streaming in big figure incomes. And so what does it look like for you to create that hype and cast that vision for your team?
Okay, so it is all a God thing. I want to tell you guys about when I went triple last year. When I sat down and like made the decision, it's all in making the decision. So I know I want to go Prez this year, and something clicked last month, like the last week of the month, after I kind of had that like break for a hot second, and I was like, it's time to push because we have so many up and coming leaders. It's time. And so last year when I made the decision for triple, I needed 17 distributors. And so I focused on that one month. The next month is when we went triple, and we needed over 600 orders to go triple. And we ended at way over what our goal was. So I knew that we were going to hit it, and it was crazy, but I made that decision. So I do have a game plan. If you guys can see, let me move my computer. Can you guys see this right here? It's probably kind of hard to see, but it has my goals. And every time I come to my office, I see that. So it says the 90-day push to Prez. August, we're focusing on, I'm going to sign 20 distributors. That's a lot. That's a lot, but I know that I can do it, and I need to focus on that. And that's what I have my focus on. And then 50 new customers, that's fine. And then our goal volume. So I know what I need to focus on, but I also need to figure out who is running with me. So I put in my team chat who is ready to go. I see Kelly literally just raised her hand. My team has a fire because I put that belief in them. I believe in myself and I believe more in them than I do myself. So the past few months I've been focusing not really on personal promotions for myself because I mean I've got to a good place where I'm just kind of sitting, but I want leaders. Like I want these leaders on my team. So I've been focusing on who's showing up on Zoom. Like this, if you guys are ready to like really run, like if you guys aren't diamond and above right now, I want you to focus on who is getting on your Zooms, who's active in your chats, who is consistently enrolling. If they're not consistently enrolling, are they getting on Zoom? If they are, get on Zoom with them and figure out what the disconnection is. Get together in person if you guys have a local team, but just figure out what you guys want on your team. And I mean, it's going to take us a lot to go prize. It's a lot, but I'm here for it. And I know that my team, like, I'm going to shout out Kelly really quick because she's on here. She promoted to Emerald last month and she's like, she's been writing down her daily affirmations. And she's like, I just feel like I need to go double diamond this month. And I was like, go for it. Like she has that belief and I believe in her too. And it's going to happen just because she's lit that fire and she's not letting go. So have a momentum, you guys. Momentum is not something that you have to wait for your team to have that momentum. You create that momentum and they'll continue to follow you. And if they don't, there's more fish in the sea. And that's really hard. Like that's a hard thing to swallow because after I went triple, I had 2 diamonds quit. And I was like, crap, like what? And I'll openly talk about that. I used to be like really embarrassed, but it happens. People fall off of your chart, okay? And I was like, oh my gosh. And I focused on that for so freaking long. As soon as I shifted my focus, we had 2 diamonds pop this year, the last like 3 or 4 months, and so many more promotions because I sat back and I realized I was like, I gotta stop focusing on these people who aren't working. If my team chat's dead, it's fine. I'm gonna still put my tasks in there every single day. Whoever's wanting to work can work, but look at your e-suite and message everybody. It's gonna take a lot of time, especially if you have a big team, but message everybody to just say, hey, my name's Jill. I'm your upline one way or the other, and I wanted to know if you're ready to work the business. And it doesn't matter if you personally enrolled them or not, but they could be a key asset on your team. The girl who just went diamond, Kenzie, she started like what 6 months ago, and she just went diamond. Like that is a huge accomplishment. I didn't know if she would when she started, but I didn't. I believed in her. So that's a big thing is just having that belief for your team and in yourself. And I'm very confident in going presidential. Makes me want to puke, but I'm very confident in it. It's gonna happen.
Oh, I feel that. I feel the welling up in the throat. Like one thing that I know that I have like a self-limiting belief about is getting really loud like on my news feed. Part of it I know is because I don't want to fall short of it. And I know that if that's like in the back burner, then that's what's going to end up happening. And so I try to navigate through that because I want to win and I want my team to win and I want everyone to win and have these, amazing goals be accomplished. And so that's something that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone this month and I'm going to do it. And I'm probably going to post a picture of me like looking like I'm going to vomit because that's just the reality of the situation. But I love that. I love hearing from somebody who is just like ready to take charge and knows that they're confident and knows they can do it. So, oh, I love that. Super inspiring. Okay, so obviously with Prez, you have so many distributors that you have to have on your team. You have to bring in so much volume. And a lot of that is new, but a lot of that is also retaining people that you have and making sure that the volume that is already there stays there or grows, right, with your current customers. So after you sign a customer up, what does it look like for you to keep them interested in continuing with the products?
Okay, so I'm really open with what I'm using and I get excited. So who uses products? Hopefully everybody on here. Everybody uses products? Yes. Okay. We all should be using the products and that is key. So if you are not showing yourself on your social media using the products, you're probably not going to, like, I don't want to be mean, but you're not going to keep those customers. So I don't do a lot of following up through Connect. I'm just getting into it now and I know I really should because a lot of people have a lot of luck with that, but I think it's more my social media. I've been really open my whole entire journey. Like a lot of people have been following me since the beginning. And I tell people my struggles. I tell them things like I had a lot of health issues a few months ago and I gained 30 pounds. And I told them I've lost 10 pounds since me and my team are doing like a weight loss challenge. But I am excited about every single thing. I've made 3 cups of skinny brew today, and every single one of them you can see on my story just because I'm excited about it. So be excited what you have your hands on, but also create relationships with your customers. When I am signing a customer up, I do like 2 scripts, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna have a conversation. So if they want the cleanse, you guys, last month I signed 49 customers. Most of them were 80 BV or higher, just from cleanse host to post. So I would message them about the cleanse and I give them the price. They say, okay, sounds good. And I'm just like, okay, but really, like, I will voice message them, what is your weight loss goals? I want to help you because the cleanse is literally just a once a month thing. And it's just to really jumpstart your system. So we'll go over and have an actual conversation. Usually we add on the Thermal Fight X and we'll go from there, and I'll put their info in. And then I'm going to give you guys this upsell message. I use this on every single sale, Fat Fighters. I made this one up like a few months ago, and almost every single person says yes. And you're going to get 80 BV or higher. I don't do the pick two. I don't know if you guys, I don't offer it anymore. I'm just like, whatever, more volume, it's fine. They're willing to pay that extra amount. Like, why not? If they're like, oh my gosh, like I can't afford that. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, a deal just popped up, $69. Then I'll get them as a customer. If not, it's okay. We'll just follow up, but they'll do host to post, but they watch me and I interact with my customers. And I feel like we kind of have a connection, and the amount of people today even that sent me pictures of their products and their before and afters, like they are staying in contact with me. And I don't know if it's just because I am really good at, I don't know if I would say I'm good at talking to people. I'm just really awkward, but I own it and I'm confident and I'm approachable because I don't try to put off that image that I live this perfect lifestyle. And I'm really open about that too. But I talk to them and I'll message them once in a while. Like, I'll see them liking my stuff and I was like, hey, how's everything going? I try to follow up with them like once a month. You know, you always get, especially if you're a master enroller, you're going to get mean customers. But just sympathize with them. And if it goes further and they get meaner, just be like, sorry, had to call customer service. But like most of mine are better. I see some people laughing. Just cause sometimes they're just annoying, but I'll send you screenshots of your conversation with me and I'll tell you that you agreed to be a loyal customer. But no, just having that connection, it really helps. Following up with them. But one thing that I started doing, this was like a year or two ago, I do tell them, and this it might be my mindset, but this is on them. If they don't text me when they get their product, how am I supposed to help them be successful with losing weight? So I always say, every time after I get them signed up or I get that little notification, I always say, I'm so excited. Like, here's your info. I'm so excited for you to get started. Message me when you get it. So I'm telling them to message me. So if I forget to follow up, they're going to message me and I'm going to say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. And you're going to stay in contact with me. And obviously it's a 2-day cleanse. It's going to be easy for me to follow up with them. If I don't, they're going to follow up with me and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I feel so good, whatever. But my phone, I've been signing so many of them and they're staying in really good contact with me. So I just encourage you guys to be yourself, really show yourself, even if you're awkward like me, just own it because people love that. Like, you're way more approachable and they're going to be willing to like ask you questions about stuff too.
I think that's great. A lot of times people don't recognize that utilizing their platforms is indeed a tool for follow-up, and you don't necessarily have to be in people's inboxes every single day checking up on them and making sure that they're utilizing their products. And I was giggling when you were talking about having like mean customers, because I literally had a conversation where I had reached out to a loyal customer like 4 times in a row, and then she messaged me and was like, this isn't working. And I'm like, I've messaged you multiple times. Like, you could have said something 3 messages ago, but we all get them, and it is what it is. But when you do mass enroll, the likelihood of you getting a lot more happy people is a lot higher than when you just enroll like 6, right? So I think that's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that as well. I just have one last question for you. And it's just, whatever piece of advice that you want to leave us with, I would love for you just to like talk to us like you would be talking to your team, how you would close something out, and then we can hop off.
Okay, so I would say don't give up. So some people might be in a spot right now where it's hard, and we've been all through that. I've been through that. I've been in the business for it'll be 3 years in October. So I've definitely gone through the highs and lows in the business. And this past year has been amazing because I refuse to go into the lows of the business. I will sit back and I will do my development, but always put yourself first. Okay. And if you're a mom, it's really easy, I guess, to not give yourself time. And if you're like me, I'm a mass enroller and I could work this business 24 hours of the day. But also, you have to remember why you're working this business. And I don't know if you guys are like me or not. I know some people on my team are, but I could work this business every single day, all day, ignore everything in life, let my house go to crap. But you guys have to remember what your goal is. What's your end goal? And how do you picture that person? Like, let's say 5 years down the road, you guys we're all ambassador diamonds. How do you picture that person? How does she show up to Zooms? How does she wake up in the morning and wake up every single day like that person? Act like who that person is right now, if that makes sense. Act like who that person is in 5 years, be that person today and show up as that person and believe that you will be that person. But just don't give up. If you guys are in a rut right now, get on a Zoom with your upline and figure out what's going on or read a book. One thing that I'm reading this is taking me, I'm not a reader. Like I really, I'm not. I will listen to podcasts all day. This book, it's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Um, it's by John Ortberg. I don't know if I said that right. I have no idea. But everybody was saying to read it, and I got it as a gift. So I started reading it, and I am a very fast paced person. And I learned how to slow down and just live. Okay. Because there will be times where, so my husband's over the road trucker still. And so everything falls on me. We have a farm. I have 2 kids. I have like so many things that I have to do every single day and I get short with my kids. I my house is a disaster. I don't do my self development. There's days where I've gone days without showering just because I'd rather work the business. I feel like maybe we've been there. I don't know. I've been there. But I realize that I need to slow down and take that time for myself. And when you guys are hurrying, I could read stuff in that book, but I don't want to read in front of other people. There's one part that really stood out to me, like a few chapters in, and it was just talking about like when you're hurrying through life, you're not enjoying the little things and you become like restless. So I took back for a second, and like the next day I just like kind of reflected back on my other day, and I freaked out on my kids, and I kind of resented the business for a second just because my inbox was blowing up. And that's a good thing. That is 100% a good thing. Like we all want our inboxes to be blowing up, but I couldn't balance being a mom, taking care of the house, and being a distributor, like, and my business. And so we were trying to get out the door, go to take, I don't remember what we were doing. We were doing something we were late for because I'm always late for everything. And I yelled at my kids just because we were running late, but it was on me because I was working and we were late because I had to respond to this message, which I could have totally done a few days for early or a few um, hours later, whatever. And it was my fault. And I didn't like take the time. I'm doing this business for my kids so my kids can have a good life. And that was just me realizing like I need to take a step back for a second, not on the business, just take a second to breathe. Because if somebody's really serious about wanting products or somebody's really serious about the business, they'll wait for you. And you need to let them know that this is your life. So one thing I learned to do from that is I have my notifications. Emily, I'll send you a picture of the book. I have my notifications turned off on my Facebook. So when I'm working, I'm working. When I'm not, my phone is not by me because like it would go off on my watch, it would go off on my phone. I'd hear it on my iPad, I'd hear it on my computer. And you know what? I was like, oh my gosh, a potential customer. No, most of the time it was just like somebody sending me some stupid like link to their game, and then I would delete them off of Facebook. But I learned how to utilize my time wisely. I wake up every single day and I do my self development, and then I will work on my business. And I'll give myself an hour and a half in the morning to message for host to post. You guys, I haven't messaged for host to post all day except for this morning. And I want to show you. Um, I don't know if you guys do this, but this is how I organize my host to post. I don't know where These are all the people that said they would host a post for me today. And I could even scroll down further. I have like 8 host a posts up right now, and I have to follow up with all those other ones because I took that time this morning for my business. So I just encourage you guys, if you are like me and you struggle with like time management and stuff like that, take a step back and get on a good schedule, get on a good routine, and just remember why you're doing this business. And if it's for your kids, give your kids attention first. Like it needs to be God, your husband, your kids, your business. And sometimes, most times, if you like the last few years, I would go my business, my kids, my husband, God would be last. And I don't know if you guys are religious or not. I'm not trying to tell you that you need to go love Jesus, but it's helped me. I've grown closer to my faith with this business, and just taking that time for myself every single day. You have to have your mindset right before you guys can build a team. So that's all I have to say. I'm rambling. I know I am. It always happens, but I hope that helped if any of you guys really needed that right now.
No, that was fire. Like seriously, it was solid. It was so solid. I didn't feel like you were rambling at all. So I just want to say thank you so much, Jill, for hopping on with us and pouring into us. I know that, like we don't help your paycheck out at all. You don't help our paycheck out at all, but this is the kind of stuff that really fuels your soul, I believe, is when you get in connection with other people who are like-minded with you and know what you've been through and can direct you and guide you. So I just want you to know that we are so grateful that you were willing to hop on with us. If you guys can just drop in the chat, like, thank you, Jill, you're awesome, whatever you want to say to her before she hops off here. We just want you to know that, again, we are just so grateful and we appreciate you so much. So you are welcome to hop off. I will get you part 1 and part 2 on this Zoom once we hop off of here. Hopefully it's the first part saved to my computer, but thanks for being here.